Hello again from the Bahamas, the land where shots of well tequila are $20, and Sbarro pizza that's been sitting out for hours is also $15. And attempting to leave the resort to save money is surprisingly expensive. Day 3 was the most anticipated matchup of the trip. If you follow basketball or international basketball at all, I'm sure you're aware of Serbia's mega BeMax. BeMax has been a hub for young talent in recent years, producing guys like Nikola Jokic and Ivica Zubac. But you could tell that Kentucky was aware of the fact that this was, quote unquote, the Kentucky of Europe, because, oh boy, they came to play. BeMax has some prospects on this roster, but they're not as talented as they have been in the past. Andrija Maranovic, Adam Makoka, Kosha Mushidi, Goja Bichazi. Mushidi was okay in this game. He showed some competence off the dribble, creating, but I do wonder if he would fare better in a more athletic, balanced lineup. Goja Bichazi actually got hurt halfway through this one, and one of their better players also didn't play in this one, Nikola Miskovic. He got hurt the night before playing San Lorenzo de Almagro. This Kentucky group is a group of gamers. I mean, not with a controller, although I've heard that they're that too, but a team that seems like they might be one of those groups that gets really jacked up for big games, like they sense moments. Because Mega came in as this heralded team. They were probably told all week that it was going to be a tough game, and you could just sense the air in the room was thick. I mean, the intensity was palpable while they were warming up. Around 3/4 of the way through this game, it felt like Mega just conceded, especially when you consider the fact that they were without their full complement of guys. Bichazi actually had 2 impressive blocks on consecutive possessions in this game, but I got the feeling that his reaction to those plays, where he stood over Emmanuel quickly and got a pretty negative response from the Kentucky guys, but he stood over quickly, and I just felt like it was a combination of frustration and desperation because Mega was hanging on by a thread. Kentucky had come out and really stepped on their throats early in that game. Mega was abysmal from 3. They were 4 for 27. They didn't really get many great looks all night. They were having to shoot quickly and in tough, uncomfortable situations. Didn't get really many straight line drives in this game. Kentucky's team defense was just really locked in, surprisingly cohesive for August for a group of guys that don't really know each other. You could see that from a veteran group like the 2014-15 team that came to the Bahamas, like a lot of consistency, continuity in their upperclassmen. But Kentucky's really driven defensively by their freshmen. It's a really interesting thing to watch. Anyway, let's get right to the prospects. Nick Richards. Richards played one of his best games of his career, I think, last night against Mega BeMax. He was much quicker in his north-south position on the floor. Even though he got some fouls, he was in position. Now, part of that might be that Mega BeMax wasn't a tremendously quick team on the interior. He was the quickest 5 on the floor. It wasn't even close. And his length and his quickness were a little jarring for Mega at first, you could tell. But he played with great energy on defense, and I hope that he never, ever cuts his hair. Higgins was his usual relentless defensive self, picking up full court, taking the Mega guards out of the flow early in the game. And they were forced to run a lot of their stuff just a few feet over half court. So he was all over them, but he's still struggling to keep the defense honest with his own offense. In the pick and roll, I'd like to see Ashton become really aggressive about trying to get to the rim, because that's just going to open up his playmaking opportunities even more. But he made generally good decisions on offense, and he had some great finds for threes late in the game that were really backbreakers. PJ played really well in this one, top to bottom. I thought that he played one of his better games. He obviously displayed the athleticism. He had a couple moments with really soft touch, but most importantly, I thought that PJ showed real defensive awareness in this one. It's not going to get a lot of attention, but over and over again, PJ was on top of it, rotating correctly, sealing up driving lanes, did a good job of getting thin and getting vertical on contests without fouling. Granted, there were no real challenges in terms of athletes on this BeMax squad, but position is position. I thought PJ played well. He made a 3 at one point. Hero's contributions were a bit subtler during this game, but don't let the surface level numbers fool you. Hero's presence is really invaluable for the rest of the guys on the roster. His shooting pulls so much gravity on the floor that it creates offensive breathing room, and his mobility off the catch just really strengthens that fact. The entire game, he did a great job of letting the action come to him, but most impressive to me is that he was using the eagerness to stop his perimeter game to create easier open looks for his teammates. Hero's poise really might be just as impressive as his shooting to this point. He's in a similar position to his idol, Devin Booker, in the fact that he is going to need to take some reps as an operating ball handler in pick and rolls because of the fear that he puts in the hearts of closeout defenders. And I think that he used that to his advantage beautifully at different points against Mega. So I'd like to see him just continue going down that road of playmaking out of pick and roll situations. Reed Travis has to feel like Happy Gilmore on the green right now.
Son of a bitch, ball, why didn't you just go home? That's your home! Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
At the very least, he's rebounded well and he's been in the right place at the right time pretty consistently, but I almost wonder if he's getting his equilibrium a bit with this whole experience, you know, coming from Stanford. Probably never experienced the focus and the attention that he's getting early on. The entire arena feels like they're trying to will him to play well. It's really interesting. I've said it on other platforms though, but Reed's been the first guy out every single day working on his jumper, and I'll reserve judgment obviously, but I'm sure he's really frustrated right now. He just can't seem to finish around the rim. He did have one really nice kick out for three late in that game, and that was a backbreaking play. Quade is one of the real motors of this team along with Keldon and Ashton Hagans, and today you could tell that he was really locked in on both sides of the ball, had that veteran vibe against BeMax, and he was a catalyst in several key moments. Quade's hoops IQ is strong, but it'll just continue to be a question of really elevating his ball skills across the board so that he takes some control of the variables that are going to work against him as he tries to transition into a pro career. Keldon Johnson. Keldon is a hard guy not to like if you're a basketball fan. He's going to be a really popular guy at the next level for his personality alone, but more importantly, he's showing some real flashes of that two-way value that's going to make him really attractive to NBA teams, I think. He's not an ultra quick twitch guy, and I don't see him as an elite one-on-one guy in space, but he's crafty at getting to the rim, and as we know, he loves to go at people's heads on drives. Seems to be pretty good with either hand driving. I'd like to see him develop some kind of a mid-range game that's consistent or reliable, and then he could transition into a guy who can get his own offense. But he's attentive on defense, he fights through every screen action, and if he continues to be this kind of guy on defense and a constant threat to get to the rim, Keldon just needs to make open shots when they come his way. I think he's fairly firmly in the discussion to be a top half of the first round pick. I think that that's on the table for him. Anyhow, one more game to play on this trip against Team Toronto, and then I am back to the world of normal prices. I would kill for some cheap Mexican food right now. The Bahamas is beautiful, but the prices are not. But I appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Later. Hey folks, I appreciate you watching, and if you like this video, click the like button and be sure to subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter at JKyleMan. Say hey.